Hey guys, I'm back with day 3 of my 7 Days to Die Alpha 16.4 playthrough. So day 1 it was a guide basically on how to get started in the game. Random gen world, just kind of the basics of like what do I do on the first day. And then some people wanted to see, like, what do I do during the first week? Like, what do you do during the second day and third day and so on and so forth. So I said, well, if there's time, those aren't nearly as interesting. And I don't think this day 3 is going to be nearly as interesting as day 1, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Since I'm playing through it anyway, I might as well just record it. So it has been about a week of real time since I recorded day 2, so it's possible that I might repeat some of the things that I said in day two's video. I'll try not to. The first thing, just real quick, it's 3 a.m., so we've got about an hour before daylight, and I've spent the night. We've got our forge up and running on day 2. I spent the night making some tools. I went with the iron pickaxe first, and then I had enough iron to make a second tool, and I picked the barbed club. That's going to be a controversial choice. Some people are going to want a fire axe right away, and that's fine, but I'm pretty okay using my stone axe for a little while yet. And there's a horde going by right now in the game. I don't know if you guys can hear that on the video, but so I went with the barbed club. Now the other choice that I kind of came down to was the barbed club or a iron shovel. I could have gone either way on that one. I'm not going to use the club a lot because I'm still going to be using mostly my bow and arrow. But I also don't think I'm going to be using the shovel a lot. And there's pretty decent... I seem to find iron shovels at a pretty decent clip in the game in boxes. So I just kind of flipped a coin, went with the barbed club instead. And I'll get plenty more iron. You can see I've already got 6 more forged iron, which I'm keeping to repair this stuff. But I'll have plenty of iron on the next night probably to make whatever else I need. So I'm going to spend some points before I go out for the day. Oh yeah, also during the night I made some food. Alright, at this point in Alpha 16, the food doesn't have any smell, so I'm going to keep it on me. Bacon and eggs here, I've got a stack of it. That's enough to get me through a couple of days. And I also made a bunch of goldenrod tea. I had some aloe because we walked through the desert and I collected a bunch of aloe, and so I turned that aloe into some first aid bandages. It's always good to have more than one bandage on you. I made some arrows, and that's pretty much it. I filled up. I've already eaten and drank to get myself close to 100% before I go out and start the day. I've unloaded everything in my inventory into the chest that I don't want to have on me while I'm out walking around. And even this much stuff here, I mean, you could make a good case for not needing to carry around cloth fragments, painkillers, plant fibers. A lot of that stuff probably could get left here. I guess it's my habit to keep it on me in case I need to craft something with it. And I usually find that stuff out there, so I'm going to be taking up an inventory slot with it anyway pretty quickly, so I may as well just start out with a little stack of it. Plenty of stuff though that I am leaving in the chest here. You can get a quick look at what I'm leaving here. This is what I've accumulated. Day 2 I spent mostly hunting and grabbing the stuff for the forge, so I didn't do a lot of looting. And it just came daylight, but we're not in any big hurry. And so I'm going to spend a few points. So the first thing, a lot of questions about where do you spend your points? Where do you spend your points? Okay, well, I've kind of avoided that question because I think there's not really any clear-cut answers on that. I think that's really a matter of personal preference. But these two right here, I can say definitely I'm always going to keep these two maxed out: weaponsmithing and toolsmithing. And so I've got those maxed out. I can't do anything else with them for the moment. I like to put at least a level or 2 into the survivor early game because it's kind of just a pain finding enough food to keep yourself going and having to eat constantly. So I find that one to be a pretty good payoff. Also, Sexual Tyrannosaurus is a must-have in my opinion because it allows you to keep swinging your weapons longer, faster. It keeps your stamina higher. And if you're going to start using iron tools with any efficiency, you're going to need quite a few points into Sexual Tyrannosaurus so you don't run out of stamina right away. And that's actually why I didn't make a fire axe, is because I find the fire axe uses more stamina than really what it's doing in damage compared to the stone axe. Stone axe does less damage per hit, but I can keep hitting with it and it hits faster. So I kind of feel like I can break down a door almost as fast with the stone axe, if not faster, than with the fire axe until I have some points into Sexual Tyrannosaurus and some more points into the iron weapons, or iron tools. So beyond those, I don't really have any strong opinions. Bad mechanics, not a terrible one. That makes your hammer and your stone axe do a little better job. You get more resources when harvesting with the construction tools. Don't usually have a problem with those resources anyway, so I'm probably going to skip that one for now. Miner 69er, now that I'm starting to get into the mining tools, which is the fire axe and the pickaxe are both considered mining tools, strangely enough. That's actually probably, I think, where I'm going to put my points right now. I got 9 points available. I'm going to go ahead and buy a tier of Miner 69er, knowing that I'm going to want to have several ranks in that sooner or later. And that's going to make my pickaxe a little better. Quality Joe, when it unlocks, is definitely something I'll drop points into immediately, but I've got a little ways to go. I can't have anything in there until my scavenging gets to 25, I think, or scavenging 20. So I'm at 6 right now. I will sometimes, if I've been finding a lot of treasure maps, I'll put a point in a treasure hunter. I haven't really found any treasure maps yet, so I'm not gonna drop those points in there yet until I actually need to. And so I've got 4 points left, and I really don't have anything that I feel like I absolutely have to put them into, so I might just sit on those. Definitely there's a case to be putting some points into science. Gunsmithing is kind of hit and miss for me. If I have the extra points, I'll put them in there, but gunsmithing doesn't do... Guns in this alpha seem very lackluster until you get into the later games, so it's going to be a little while before that's going to do much for me. Water's not as much of an issue as food, so the camel's not that great. Quicker crafting. That actually in the later game is pretty awesome skill, but not something that I need right now. Same thing with the fixer. I'm still breaking down a lot of stuff instead of repairing it, so I'm not too worried about that. Wellness goes up fast enough for me, so I never put points into health nut, but some people might like that. And then anything that I can naturally level up, anything that's basically like points out of 100, I don't like to put points into unless I'm like 1 or 2 points short of the next perk underneath of it. So yeah, I'm just going to sit on those points, and I'm going to get out there and get some loot. So we've got our forge, and there's been a zombie out here all night making noise, so first thing I'm going to do is go looking for him, try to clear him out of here. Make sure he's not in my house. Also, I noticed on the last 2 videos that they were a little dark, and I checked my settings and realized I had the gamma turned down to 50%, so I turned that back up to 100%. It's back at the default setting now. Hopefully this video looks a little nicer because of it. I've also gotten a different microphone since the last video, kind of a Christmas gift to myself. And so I don't know if it's going to sound any better. I ran a couple of test videos and I didn't really notice much difference, but oh, nice. Yeah. So the point of day 3, I've got my forge. At some point I need to grab, actually we're going to do it now before I forget. I need to get some wood. I used up most of my wood in crafting overnight. I'm down to next to nothing. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab some wood. I'm going to have to grab some stone and some iron before I go back into the house at night, but that's not a high priority for me until I'm ready to head back in for the night. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go out and do a little bit of looting. I didn't get to do a whole lot on day 2. I think we did the daycare center because it has a lot of bookshelves in it. And bookshelves are number 1 what I'm looking for. Crates, tool crates are fine. Weapon crates I'm not as worried about. Other types of crates are fine. The only problem with weapon crates and tool crates at this point in the game is that they're going to be leveled according to my player level. So the stuff I find in them is likely to be pretty low level. It's almost kind of better to wait until you're higher level to open them. I won't, but I could make a case for it. Gun crates, actually, I probably will just wait. It's just, at this point in the game, a gun is not going to do much for me. I don't have the capacity to make a lot of ammo. I don't have any skills in it. It's just not a really useful thing, so I'm just going to kind of skip guns. You can break these curtains, get a little bit of cloth. Don't think I was really running low on cloth. And then always pick up wooden chairs. Wow. Forgot to clear the place before I started looting. Can't get out that doorway. Wooden chairs are just a good source. I'm sure I've mentioned that in other videos, but always a good source of wood. Free wood. You don't have to use up any tool to harvest it. So this zombie's going to open that door for me. And there's a clipping issue where sometimes you can hit a zombie as his head comes through the door, so you guys might have saw there how the arm is poking through the door. Sometimes his head, he'll lean forward and his head will go through the door. Sounds like I got an angry one above me as well. Really not looking for lead. This is a really dangerous spot right here because they're going to fall down that ladder if they come over by it. And then just kind of drop on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk over here. Get him to go over there. And run up here real fast. Oh, Big Mama broke through the ceiling. Oh, heck of a shot. So again, my priority is to try to find bookshelves. Toilets are actually super useful to loot early on in the game. They have a high chance of having a pistol, 9mm, and 9mm ammo, therefore, in them. But bookshelves are my number one, and pretty much gonna just kind of go through and loot everything. There's not a lot of things that I would skip. Paper's nearly useless at this point. The only thing that you're going to use paper for is making shotgun shells, and I'm a long ways off of making any shotgun shells. You find extra stuff in here. I don't remember what I'm wearing. I'm wearing nothing. It's usually worth it to scrap it. I have my loot set to respawn after, I think it's 30 days is the default, so on the off chance that I'm still in this general town here, 30 days from now those containers will refill themselves anyway. Now they'll do that. That's something I should address, is that they'll actually respawn loot whether you leave something in them or not. They don't have to be empty, but if there's something left in them, they won't respawn the loot until you remove the item that was left in them originally, and then leave the container empty for a couple of seconds, and then it'll respawn the loot. So you don't have to clear them out to make them respawn, but you have to clear them out before you can see the new loot. But on the other hand, the stuff that I leave in there isn't doing me any good, so. Now I like to clear out the stuff right around my base as just a matter of habit, because I'm going to get a lot of hordes in this area, and those hordes are going to do a lot of damage to stuff, and they're going to break a lot of stuff. And in that process, I might lose some loot containers from this area near my base. So I think it's always a good idea to just kind of clear out the stuff right around your base. Compound bow body, that doesn't really do me any good right now, but for the moment, I'm just grabbing everything because I've got the room in my inventory. We're going to go back this other direction, and we're going to do this house over here. Now, I ran around the town and video too, and I didn't see any bookstores or anything else that really stood out at me as a must loot. So, although the town's a pretty good size, and it's got a skyscraper in it, doesn't look like it's actually got a ton of really great loot opportunities in it. I'm really worried that there's no zombie in this front room here. That's unusual. There's one. Anytime I walk into a house and there's no zombie right in the front room, I always think to myself, because the game has a tendency to sometimes take a little while to spawn the sleeper zombies in, so it's always worthwhile to just stand there and wait a second before you go any further in, because it might still be spawning in the zombies. That has gotten better in the latest builds. 16.4 doesn't seem to do that. I think they turned up the distance at which it starts spawning zombies in so that it's less likely that you're going to walk in and have that happen. But it still happens. If you're on a lower end processor like mine, it probably happens a little more often than to people with nicer processors. So if I was going to start skipping, and I will probably start skipping looting something, cupboards are the #1 thing to stop looting. There's the things that you can get out of cupboards is basically food, water, and empty jars. And at the moment, I have plenty of food and water and empty jars. And the food that you get out of there is all going to be the canned food, prepared food stuff, and it doesn't increase your wellness at all. So if I have bacon and eggs, I'm better off eating bacon and eggs, or even grilled meat, than I am eating the canned food out of those cupboards. So at some point I'll probably stop looting the cupboards. Not very many zombies in this house, which is really making me nervous. It usually means that I'm missing them, hiding in a corner somewhere. Filing cabinets and desks are always worth looting. They have a chance to have a book in them. Blood draw kit lets you make blood bags. That's going to be useful for making health kits and once I find that book. So it's one of those things that I could probably leave it and find a dozen more before it's actually useful to me, but and I don't need to keep that seed on me. So I'm just in the habit of knocking out that bottom rung of the ladder so that nothing sneaks up on me from below. It sure doesn't take very long to do it, and it just kind of keeps you safe. Can't quite hit her head. I need to make a new garden hose, beer. I kind of messed up right there. I should have checked that other corner before I started looting that body, but I have a pretty good feeling for how many zombies I expect in any given room, and of course sometimes that feeling's wrong, and then I really regret not checking the corner. Yeah, I needed to repair that. Not much of anything in this hat. Oh. Near as I can tell, flashlight quality has no effect on anything except for the fact that a higher quality flashlight attached to a weapon will help bring the weapon's overall quality up. But otherwise, all flashlights seem to do pretty much the same amount of light and shine the same amount of light. And flashlights are significantly less useful than torches because you can't stick it to a wall while you're looting a room. You have to be holding it in your hand. So basically the only thing flashlights are good for is attaching them to the guns. And eventually I might need a flashlight to make a mining helmet if we can't find a mining helmet. Now in this alpha, seems like mining helmets are a dime a dozen. I find a lot of them, so before I move a little further away from home here, I'm going to go ahead and drop off what I've already found. Anytime I'm leaving, getting very far from my base, I want to do so with some room in my bag. And for the most part, I like to leave sorting things out to the nighttime. Just kind of quickly go through here and drop everything that's not immediately useful to me, and I'll worry about sorting it all out later. I do notice I'm running low on arrows, so I'm going to make some more arrows. And I've got the ladder knocked out down here, so it's not likely that a zombie could get up there even if they wanted to, and they're not really not likely to try to wander up there. But it certainly isn't a bad habit just to close the hatch behind me. Just kind of a little extra assurance that I'm not going to come up there and find a zombie. I have a tendency to get home, like with not very much time left before it gets dark. And it would be a real bad thing for me if I got home right as it got dark and walked upstairs and found a zombie in my base. So with that in mind, that's kind of why I've always gotten into the habit of closing my hatches. There's despite the noise that it's making, it is actually metal. You can see because I'm getting metal from my... I was kind of making a wood, like I'm breaking wood noise, but... Sounds like I woke up the zombies downstairs. Might be one in this room already up, besides the one that we see laying there. Or not. So, sounds like there's actually a bunch of them downstairs. So I always pick up the gas barrels this early in the game, or pretty much any time in the game. I'm going to pick up the gas barrels, and they're not going to be useful to me for a long time, but the reason I pick them up is because if a zombie wanders on it and starts hitting it, it is going to explode. Just made a level. The zombies sound real angry. One thing that's always kind of bugged me about the game is that the sound is really not that great, and so it's hard to judge. Like, one zombie will often sound like multiple zombies just because of the way the noises work. Like, they make multiple sounds that overlap each other, so then you think, well, it must be multiple ones, but in reality it's just the really not great sound in the game. So in this case I would have guessed, well, there's another one. I'm gonna say I would have guessed that there were several zombies down here, but there's like a horde, judging by the sound. And I wasn't too far off. That's 4 so far, another one in the kitchen. When you see me hit shots like that, that's from putting in over 1,000 hours in this game. That's, whoop! Hi there, buddy. Oh, and then you see me miss shots. Oh boy. I can still hear somebody wandering around. Sounds like they're outside. Yeah, they are. The skater zombies with the hoodies are actually one of the harder ones for me to hit. They kind of keep their heads down, and I think they've got just a little bit of a bob and weave. Plus they move fairly quickly, so... Need him to pay attention to me. The other thing that I'm looking for today besides books is a wrench, and wrenches are mostly going to come from various boxes in the garages, or sinks, trash compactors, ovens, things like that. So that's why you see me checking those. This room in here I'll have a safe, and I'm not going to bother opening it, just like I didn't open that gun safe that we passed earlier, or upstairs I think. Well, actually this model of house doesn't have a safe. Okay, so there's a horde going by outside, and the thing I'm going to do is not get trapped inside with a horde going by. So it must be going by on the back side, so I got lucky there that I came out the right side, but... There they are. There are times when I will have to hide from a horde and just hope for the best, but you can always outrun a horde. So, if at all possible, I'm always going to try to get out in the open and just not take my chances with hiding. I love the sleeper system, but I kind of miss the whole being able to loot something like this, like a garage or a shed, without having to kill a bunch of zombies first. Hopefully they'll take another pass at the balancing of it, because I think it's great that they put the sleepers into the houses, and I think that makes looting houses a lot more interesting. But having, or maybe even if it was just one zombie, but having the possibility for multiple zombies for a shed that has like one box in it is not too much fun. So now I'm just kind of starting to wander around a little bit, see what I see that looks like I might want to get in there and loot it. Some houses, some houses. Your return on investment time for looting houses is pretty low, so at least for what I'm looking for right now. And you can see as I get closer to the skyscraper that my game is getting a little leggy, starting to chug just a bit. And all this rain is not making it very fun to look around. Ooh, what are you? You're a pig. Should probably kill the pig, but I really don't. I'm not out hunting, that's not what I'm doing today, and I really don't want to take up the room in my inventory with the meat and the hide. And I don't want to just leave it there either, so I think that pig's gonna live another day. Popped in here real quick because it's easy. I don't have to break any doors. And I got a cooking grill out of it, so that worked out pretty good. And a beaker. Now that worked out really good. Beakers are another thing. And a pistol. Yeah, so I'm glad I popped in here. Maybe I'll go ahead and check out the upstairs, since this place is being good to me. So that pistol is next to useless at that low level. But when I get the pistol book, I can at least take it apart and get the 15 bullets out of it. So I'm actually going to keep that green puffer coat because I'm worried that as I get wet I might get cold. At this point I probably have plenty of cloth. I can kind of stop harvesting cloth or stop scrapping things for cloth. Eggs are actually super useful, and I don't like to leave them behind if I can help it. So, they make obviously bacon and eggs. So like I said, I feel like this video is going to be one of the least interesting of the entire week. Days 3 and 4 are usually just running around looting things, trying to decide where I'm going to set up shop for the 7-day horde. I don't recall if I've seen a good place around here to do the 7-day horde. Worst case scenario, any 2-story building will work. Even the place where I've got my base set up would work for the 7-day horde. The 7-day horde's not very... Whoop. Not very scary. In fact, the 7-day horde can be handled completely with the bow and arrow and wood spikes, or wood log spikes. I ran out of... see, this is why I made that club, because I have a tendency to run out of arrows. And see, I told you guys in the beginning of the video that I always find shovels. So now I gotta figure out something to get rid of in order to make... I'm gonna wear that until I get hot. Make some more arrows. Always remember, once you run out of arrows, to actually take out your bow and reload it. There's a bookshelf. So I'm keeping one padlock, and the reason that I'm keeping one padlock is because if I put a padlock on my bike, when I build a bike, it puts it on my mini-map so that I can track it. And there's a chest up there that I'd like to get to. Alright, as soon as I get rid of this guy. So that's the only reason why I would want to put a padlock on a bike in a single-player game where there's no danger, obviously, of anyone else stealing my bike. Unlucky. So there's things in my inventory is full, and I could run back to my base right now and unload and make some more room, but there's still things in my inventory that I don't feel like I absolutely have to keep. And so I'd rather just keep going and keep looting. Especially since I'm a fair distance away from my base right now. So these things are actually a great source of iron. Later on in the game, and when you're not too far leveled up, actually, you're able to one-shot those with a decent quality pick, or mining. Just let me luck. Get a book, and it's one of the 3 books that I've actually read. Here's a deer. Again, I'm not out hunting right now, so we're just going to let him live. I don't have the room in my inventory for anything anyway. It's good amounts of scrap iron. Alright, so we were out looking around to see what we could see. And so far I haven't seen anything that is just crying to me. Remember, I'm wearing that puffer coat, so I'm not worried about going into the snow area as far as getting cold. I am worried about going into the snow area as far as wolves and large zombies that could kill me. And I am in a bad place right now. So getting hit from behind like I did from that fat zombie, I got infected, which I believe I have some honey back at the base to cure that. It does seem like I always get infected on the first hit. And also I was bleeding, so that's why it was a priority for me to walk away and get my bandage out. That was both a little bit unlucky and a little bit bad on my part because here's something that we're going to want to take. I didn't really clear the area as well as I could have, true. But also just really unlucky that those zombies A happened to be there and B happened to actually notice me as I was going up here. But I should have probably looked behind me. And here I am in the snow zone, getting snowed on, and I'm overheating because of that puffer coat. So that's a heck of a thing. There's another save. More blueberries. Blueberries are not worth a lot. They don't fill you up very much, and you can only make really blueberry pie with them, which we're not really set up to do that either, because that takes some water, I believe, and some cornmeal. It's not a real efficient thing to eat. Now, if those had been potatoes, that would have been a better find. I'd always take some potatoes. I think I've saved a potato seed already back at the base. But the more potato seeds you start with, the faster you can grow your potato farm, the better off you're going to be. I'm really just doing the stuff that's easy here. If you keep going, there'll be more loot on the top levels of this thing. You can see there's a door up there, and then there's usually a box or a chest or a safe up on the top level. I'm not carrying any wood frames with me at the moment, which actually is one of the things that I say in the first day's video, is always carry wood frames with you. And somehow I've managed to not follow my own rule about that. Those guys actually have a tendency to drop some pretty good loot. They've got a decent odds to drop a fire axe. And in different circumstances, I'd probably sit here and fight them, but not feeling real great about where my health is, and the fact that I'm infected, so my stamina isn't recharging as fast. So I'm just not gonna fight those guys today. So I feel like this place here likely has a lot of good loot in it. I'm trying to remember what's in there, but I want to say that I was pleasantly surprised when I looted one of those by the amount of stuff in it. So I'll probably come back for that. You know what? So the human turd is actually a super good find. Oh, there we go. For making fertilizer, you need them. They're the most efficient way to make fertilizer. But I don't have the inventory space at the moment, and I'm a little ways away from making fertilizer. You're hearing that a lot in the video because I'm trying to kind of lay out a timeline. And really the first week for me is never really about establishing a permanent base. It's about looting as much stuff as I can. Well, this guy's somehow managing to hit the wrong block. Trying to get as many books read, trying to grab up as much loot as I can, get myself some decent armor and some decent weapons and gear, and then get through the 7-day horde, and usually I'll work on something a little more permanent after the 7-day horde. But normally by the time that the 7th day rolls around, this area here will be, I'll have looted about as much as I want to loot out of there, and I'll be wanting to move on to a different area, a new area. And yeah, I'm freezing. So we're gonna head kind of towards home, which should get me out of the cold area. It does look like the snow biome has all of the interesting stuff to loot, or at least all the commercial buildings. That is not the snow biome, is it? Or that's not home, that's the trader. Yeah, that's a trader. Now this is going to be a bit of an interesting run, because between being infected and being cold, my stamina is draining super fast. I've got a little ways to go to get out of the cold area. I'm almost certainly wearing something, I don't know, if I'm wearing a cowboy hat or a plant fiber hat. I could probably just take that off, and it's actually not a bad idea. Just gotta make some room in my inventory for it. I still can't eat any food. One gunpowder. Not doing me a lot of good, so. Yeah, there we go. Now my temperature's going back up. Take a quick look at what this thing is here. And I'm still not sure what that thing is. Either way, it looks like it's probably worth looting it. So if I'd run into a dog or a wolf right now, I'd probably be out of luck, because I wouldn't be able to outrun it for very long before I'd run out of stamina. There's that daycare center that I looted yesterday, or on day 2. Looks like there's a rich people neighborhood over there that would probably be good to loot as well. And I likely pointed it out the first time that I went past it and forgot about it. On the fire station here, it'd be good to loot. I'll have some tools. The tools, this construction site right here, I'll have a bunch of tools too, but it will be absolutely swarming with zombies. Oh, the school. I forgot about the school. So, day 4, we're definitely going to come and loot the school, because that has a bunch of bookshelves in it. And it'll usually have a lot of zombies in it too, but nothing that I can't handle and clear out with the bone arrow. I forgot that there was a school over here. I should have went back and watched my own video, I guess, because I'm pretty sure that we walked past it on the day 2. And this wasn't the most efficient way to loot. Obviously, the most efficient way is just go down the street, going door to door to door to door to door, looting everything in the order that you come to it at, instead of kind of running around aimlessly like I have been. Because in the end, I was running around trying to find better things to loot, and because of that, ended up probably looting less stuff just in general. But on the other hand, I never feel like I'm really pressed for time during the first week. Like if the 7-day horde was tonight, I'd probably still survive it. And I may not get very many kills, but I'd probably still survive it. Oy, yay, yay. Something is growling up a storm around here. So I'm going to unload some stuff. And then I'm actually going to head back out if I can, grab a little bit more material, so that I have plenty to do my crafting with tonight. I'm definitely going to try to find... There she is. So I don't want to have to hear her through the entire night. So she's crawling around like she's taking damage from something. And I'd love to know what. Come on. One of the bad things about the crawlers is, and I know I already said this in another video, but I know that their head hitboxes are glitchy. Well, that's a really good find right there. Because as great as that steel shovel is... Oh, I haven't even looted in here. Where are all these guys coming from? It's so weird. As great as the steel shovel is, I can't repair the steel shovel, so that's significantly less great after I've used it a little bit. So I need a little wood, and if I can grab some stone and some iron, that would be good as well. So I'm cutting it really close here. It's 21:40. I got 20 minutes until nightfall. But I'm right outside my base. I just killed the 2 zombies that were in my base. I'm feeling pretty confident that I can get back to my base and get upstairs before I get eaten. Although I did just notice that because I'm still infected, I have no stamina for running, so I'm going to head back now. And of course, I don't like to think this way because it takes some of the fun out of the game, but if I was killed right outside my base right there because I waited too long, I'd just respawn up here and walk downstairs in the morning and grab my stuff. So there's always a chance that your stuff gets destroyed or broken, so you don't really want to count on that, but it is just something to keep in mind. It's not the end of the world. And unless you're playing, you know, some people prefer the style where you don't respawn, you just end the game if you die, and I've done that too, and you know, I kind of like that, but on the other hand, I die to glitchy things often enough where I don't feel like I can do it as a hard and fast rule. Okay, so that's where we're going to end the video. I'll do my usual overnight cleaning up and organizing and making some upgrades and stuff like that. And then if I get the time, I'll resume on day 4. Thanks guys for watching.